Bago tayo tamaan ng pandemic, bihira lang tayong nakakabasa sa balita ng anything na tungkol sa cycling, lalo na sa bike commuting. At ngayon, mas madaming tao na ang nag-e-engage sa conversation about biking at naha-highlight na ang bike infrastructure. Sa mga recent news na lumalabas, na most of them went viral or at least na pag-uusapan ng mga affected communities, ano kaya ang take ng mga nagbabike for transport? Let's listen to the thoughts of bike commuters about cycling news in the Philippines. This is Lester Babiera and you are listening to Tambike Session, an Anima podcast. Kasama ko ngayon si Josh Manuel at Eli Gotian, dalawang bike commuters sa Metro Manila. Hello Josh and Eli, kamusta? Welcome to Tambike Session.
Hi Lester.
Hi Lester, thank you for inviting me.
Maraming salamat din for accepting the invitation. So yung gagawin natin ay parang bike commuters react to episode. So magbibigay ako ng mga balita. I'll also give a brief summary about it and let's hear your thoughts. Ano, game?
Okay.
Game. So yung unang balita ay galing sa Philippine Daily Inquirer. Ang headline niya ay DOTR plan. Pedestrians, bikers get top priority in the next 6 years. DOTR will give priority to bikers and pedestrians. Nagland siya sa front page, sa headlines ng newspaper. And according to many mobility advocates, it's something na bihira lang na mangyari or never nilang na-imagine na mangyayari ever dito sa Pilipinas, yung ganong klaseng media coverage. So kayo, what are your thoughts about this na mabibigyan ng top priority in the next 6 years, yung pedestrians and bikers? Anyone can answer first?
Honestly, parang about time. Kasi nag-bike commute na ako even before nung wala pa talagang infra para sa pagbabike. Wala, parang everyday, di mo sigurado kung huli mo na.
Kung it's your last day on earth.
Oo, alam kong garapal na yung ibang mga motorista ngayon. Pero medyo compared sa dati, parang medyo kebs pa rin.
Parang hindi pa rin nag-improve, ganon.
Medyo nag-improve. I mean, lalo na yung EDSA dati talagang mag-EDSA ka lang pag madali-madali ka na wala ka ng choice. So at least ngayon, kung maglalagay talaga sila ng infra para sa pedestrians at sa mga nagbabike, sana tuloy nila.
Ikaw, may hopes ka ba na sa tingin mo mangyayari to? Kasi halimbawa, di ba, DOTR promised din na magagawa yung MRT 7, pero until now, parang wala pa din. Dapat daw in operation na yun, di ba, in 2022 or this year, pero parang wala pa din talagang nakikitang plano na magsisimula or opening nearby. Sa tingin mo ba mangyayari to, Josh?
Minsan mangyayari na lang, depende sa LGU kung matino ka usap eh. Sa QC, medyo umaasa ako kung magkakaroon man. Nga lang, hindi mo alam ano yung timeline nila kung ano mangyayari within 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Baka antayin lang nila mag 6 years tapos biglang maghahabol ng 7, 8.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Eli? What's your reaction on this news?
Well, it's a big deal. I mean, to have DOTR and then front page pa from the newspaper saying they will prioritize cycling and walking rin. It's a very big deal, and at the same time, it's something that we could really hold the national government accountable on. Wala, nandun na eh. So, there's no hiding it. There's no other way through it. They have to deliver. And if not, as citizens here in the country, we have to hold them accountable. So, I hope na they would really have a roadmap, and not just a roadmap, not just plans, but then actual designs and how it will actually mesh on the national level down to the local level to the LGUs. So, but with just having that statement in itself, it's a very big deal na.
Ako naman, very hopeful, nakakatuwa yung balita na yan, pero sana hindi lang sa salita, alam mo yun. Well, to be fair naman, nung pre-promise nila during the pandemic, nagagawa sila ng bike infrastructure, we've seen it, it's there. Pero in 6 years, medyo matagal yung planning, so medyo hopeful ako na magiging maganda in 6 years. Yun nga lang, sana walang kumontra, di ba? Kasi sometimes, alam mo naman dito sa Pilipinas, we move forward 1 step, tapos we move back 2 steps, di ba? Parang may mga ganun.
Oo. Sabi ko at least yung DOTR ngayon, mukhang medyo nagpupursige naman sa mga plano nila. Medyo umasa na onte.
Medyo umasa na onte. Ikaw, Josh, you mentioned na matagal ka ng bike commuter. So, ito sa news report na to ng Philippine Daily Inquirer, they mentioned about instances na naaaksidente yung mga siklista from 2017 to 2021. May na-report na 130 people na namatay and 6,405 na na-injure na figures from Metro Manila Development Authority. During the time ba na nagbabike ka before the pandemic, gaano ba siya kahirap? Para lang may idea yung ating mga listeners na never nagbike before or never pa nagbabike until now.
Kung balik sa Ortigas na lang, sa may tapat ng Lasal, parang ngayon kahit papaano mayroong bike lane. Kahit na madami naman di pumapansin. Pero dati, parang aabangan mo na lang na mag-bike ka ng rush hour para di gumagalaw yung mga kotse. Kasi mas safe pang gumita ka na lang sa kanila habang di gumagalaw.
Mm-hmm.
Tapos, kahit pa paano, dahil medyo mas maingay na yung mga tao ngayon, sa infra, medyo mas napapansin na din. Kasi ako, munti ka na ako masama dun sa statistics.
Oh no. Kailan to? Before the pandemic?
Oo, mga 6 or 7 years ago ata. Sumuot yung gulong ko sa butas sa kalsada. Tapos sumemplang ako. Ayun, tinakbo ko sa ospital.
Oh no. Oh no. So, ang may kasalanan nito yung pangit na kalsada. Tama ba?
Parang yung ahensya ng gobyerno, hindi nila sinusundon yung, yung mga guidelines na sila mismo gumagawa eh. Kasi sumuot ako sa gulong na drainage na nasa gitna ng kalsada.
Oh no, yeah, sa gitna ng kalsada. Ang weird, no? Going back to the report, sinabi rin dito na meron ng 378 kilometers of quote-unquote protected bike lanes na na-complete as of May 2022. Happy ba kayo sa protected bike lanes na meron dito sa Metro Manila? Eli?
It doesn't feel like that they've done that plenty or distance that they've done. It might look like, I mean, based from the pictures and all, but then it doesn't feel protected. There's a difference between saying that it was built protected and there's a different feeling of feeling actually protected in the bike lane. Yeah, I mean it's there. It helps, but then it still needs improvement.
Yeah.
Which hopefully in the future,
in the next 6 years na pre-promise nila.
Yeah, in the next 6 years that they promised. So, well, at the end of the day, that really comes down to the those people that will be pushing for it in the government. So your political will mo and dun sa budget.
Yeah, importante ang budget na yan.
Yes, super. Because right now, as you know from the previous administration's build, a lot of the budget went into our real sector. So we'll see. Let's see how they go around with the budget now, because a lot of the budget's being used in other areas. So hopefully, kaya pa sa road sector, especially dun sa bike lanes natin, and as well as sa pedestrians.
Ikaw, Josh, what are your comments regarding this quote-unquote protected bike lanes?
Depende sa lugar. Kasi I mean, like, meron naman certain spots na okay talaga. Parang meron yata 1-2 kilometro dito sa Agham Road.
Yeah, na maganda.
Nakahiwalay talaga siya, mataas yung island. Basta hindi siya pasukin ng kotse, parang feel mo okay ka. Yung sa EDSA, parang okay naman yung ginawa nilang semento siya. Kasi hirap pasukin ng hindi
Cars.
bike eh.
Yeah.
Sana I guess at least yung katulad ng EDSA yung ginawa nilang minimum standard. Kasi there are some spots, parang dito sa sa Ortigas Avenue, ginawa nila plastic bollards lang. Parang every time ilalagay siya, the next day,
nababangga, nasisira din siya.
Oo kung usapang budget lang, baka mas makatipid sila kung ilagay na nila yung hindi bibigay lang.
Correct, tama yan. And lastly for this article, it mentioned about the bicycle network. So yung connectivity ng mga bike lanes na to all around Metro Manila, ano pa yung kailangan nilang i-improve? Or is it already connected now and ipa-polish na lang nila in the next 6 years?
Oh, it's very far. I'm not saying they didn't do a good job or anything, but then it's still far from being an actual network. The interesting thing about Metro Manila is that it's a bunch of cities that are very, very close to each other. And the LGUs all have their different agendas or different priorities. So I really think like DOTR, all the other agencies under it, and MMDA, they really have to talk to all these LGUs and really focus on a possible design that they would strictly follow. Because yes, there are designs that come out, but then it's not followed by all the LGUs to the dot. Or sometimes the LGUs have their own design. So that would work in other areas if you're one city and then your next city is a bit far from you. But then in an area like Metro Manila, you take one step, you're in another city. You take another step,
Yes,
you're
yes.
in another city.
Tapos iba-iba lang no?
Yeah, diba? So you could in plain sight when you're in that Ortigas EDSA area because ADB Ave is actually almost split into three. You have Galet, which is QC, and then you have that ADB Ave on the right side, which is
Which
Manda.
Mandaluyong.
Tapos
Yeah.
on the left, it's Pasig.
Labo-labo na.
Oh, the zoning is crazy, but then it's a challenge and someone must be up for it. And I think the OTR can do it and they should do it. But one thing that a protected network needs talaga is other than the bike lanes is a well-designed intersection for all intersections.
Yeah.
That's the point of most conflict eh. I mean, if you're in a bike lane, you're in a bike lane, diba? Diretso lang yan eh. But once you hit the intersection area, if you don't have a protected intersection with either yung mga bike box or yung extended curbs where bikes can pass through, wala eh. That's the point of the most conflict in our whole street design is if they need to prioritize anything, especially in the network, it's the intersections and how all the different bike lanes from the different LGUs will connect.
Yeah. At natutulungan din nun yung mga pedestrians, right?
Oh yeah, super, definitely.
How about you, Josh? Ano yung comment mo sa bike lane network natin ngayon? And moving forward into this 6 years, how can they improve this?
Kung kiniklaim nila na connected bike port siya ng Metro Manila, ibig sabihin, pag lumagpas ka ng Makati, hindi na Metro Manila yun.
Oo.
Kasi pag lumagpas ka na ng Pasay or Taguig, parang wala nang bike lane na dadaanan para tumagos sa ibang city eh.
Yeah.
Kahit yung mga medyo major. Ewan ko, parang gets naman na may papasalamat na may ginawa sila, pero ang laki naman ng claim na parang ang laki nung ginawa.
Yes, yes. At parang kailangan pa nila talaga mag-improve, no? Speaking of improvement, may mga suggestions ba kayo for the next 6 years? Well, like Eli was saying about making better intersections. Do you have other suggestions? Parang just in case may nakikinig sa atin dito, in the next 6 years, ano yung kailangan nilang pagtuunan ng pansin ng DOTR? And we're not just talking about Metro Manila dito, 'di ba? Kasi DOTR is a national agency. So, pati sa iba't ibang parts ng Pilipinas, sakop tong pagpa-prioritize sa pedestrians and cyclists.
Lakihan na nila yung bike lane.
Lakihan na nila yung bike lane kasi ang dami ng siklista,
Oo.
nagsisiksikan na tayo. And prioritize talaga, no?
Tsaka parang bukod dun, parang kung hindi na lang magawan yung clear yung sidewalk, inevitably kasi yung mga pedestrian pupunta sa bike lane kasi kahit papaano may harang sa traffic, tapos makakalakad sila ng patag lang. Parang, of course, hindi siya ideal na pinagsama mo yung siklista pati pedestrian. Pero mas safe nang magkasama sila kaysa ihalo mo sila sa kotse o sa motor. So parang medyo half measure siya, pero kung lakihan nila yung bike lane, medyo giginhawa yung buhay ng iba.
Yan, at wag lang sila ma-intimidate sa mga kotse. All of these years, puro na lang lanes for motorized vehicles. Bigyan nyo naman sa pedestrians and siklista, di ba? Yeah. And you try during these 6 years and let's see what happens. Kung sa tingin nyo hindi mag-work, let's try to re-strategize, di ba? O Eli, ikaw?
Well, aside from what Just said, na tama naman, they should stick to the design na very comfortable yung cyclist. A bike network should be accompanied by good policies, both on the national and local level, that would integrate to the network, that would, keep the network sustainable, either through the budget, through funding, or through different laws or ordinances that would keep the bike network and its overall design functioning at how we want it to function and how it's originally supposed to function. Because you could always just put up a design, but if you have other people going inside or some people changing up design or all sorts of these stuff, there must be countermeasures to this na stated in the law na you can't do that. And part of the policy should be that people from these implementing agencies should bike to work. I mean, it doesn't have to be every day,
Yeah.
but
At least they have to experience. Next news. It was just published this January. MMDA eyes elevated bike lanes. Ayan, the elevated bike lanes daw will be built sa taas ng mga sidewalks of both northbound and southbound lanes ng EDSA. O kaya sa White Plains daw sa Quezon City. Okay, I think this is part of tourism. So what are your thoughts about this?
tourism really.
Okay, ako na I think it's very ridiculous kasi una pa lang nung nabasa ko pa lang na sidewalk, parang where are the sidewalks sa EDSA? Wala ka nga nakikitang naglalakad dun kasi parang hindi nga proper yung sidewalks dun, 'di ba? So, medyo ridiculous. And at the same time, an elevated bike lane is somehow a stupid idea kasi ano siya it gives more of a hassle than, convenience to people who are doing active transport.
Okay, halatang hindi sila nag-coordinate. If DOTR says that they are gonna prioritize it, and then MMDA comes up with something like this, it just clashes. It's not rocket science. If you're gonna prioritize walking and cycling, and provide them the most convenience, why are they the ones who are supposed to adjust and go up? At the same time, if it's mainly for tourism, why along EDSA? What are the scenic areas that you will use to go around EDSA?
What are the scenic places in EDSA?
I mean,
Exactly.
it's what you're gonna pass by. Let's say SM, another SM, probably some other private subdivisions. You're giving priority back to the vehicles or the speed of private vehicles again down below, and you're asking cyclists, not just recreational cyclists, but all cyclists to go up. One, it's gonna cost a lot more. So again, saan yung budget? Or I mean, where are you gonna get the budget for that as well? It's a very costly band-aid solution that would, at the end, there are like how many intersections along EDSA? So you're gonna have bike ramps going up and then going back down again, and then going back up and then back down again. I think they need to talk again about it because what DOTR said originally was already okay. So they possibly need a group chat.
Ikaw, Josh, ano yung tingin mo dito sa balitang to?
Kung itutuloy nila yan, kung nag-bike commute ka lang EDSA, magdala ka na ng first aid kit. Kasi
Sample lang pro na yan.
nasubukan ko na yung dati, meron pa silang mga, yung supposedly pang wheelchairs na pedestrian overpass.
Yeah.
So sinubukan ko siyang ibaba ng bike. Medyo, kung hindi mo alam ginagawa mo, sisemplang ka. And not to
Yeah.
mention, pag bumaba ka, may pedestrians doon. So ang lala nung conflict.
Well, to be fair, sinabi naman nila na these are for safety purposes.
What?
And, maglalagay ba sila ng CCTVs along the length of it? Kasi like anyone who's commuted along EDSA na hindi nakakotse, may kwentong hold up
Yeah.
or ninakawan.
Correct.
And if they're talking about safety in terms of road users, if you just check the MMDA count of which vehicle is involved in the most crashes, it's car on car. It's vehicle on vehicle. And the only way, or one of the only ways to decrease that accidents and accidents on cyclists as well and pedestrians is to lower speed limits of vehicles. They need to reduce the speed. And also add more protected infrastructure, but not to that scale of elevating the cyclist. So fine, you elevate the cyclists and all. Road crashes are still going to be road crashes
Yes.
for vehicle side, and especially on the pedestrian side as well. You're giving the private vehicle users even a faster way of going around, even though that with induced demand they're just gonna get slower. But then yeah, it's you're just countering it.
By the way, yung balita na yan is from the Manila Times. Yan. Next news tayo from nolisoli.ph. Biking as PE elective. Good idea from Ateneo Senior High School. Yung news na to is from a post of a senior high school teacher who went around the online sphere when he uploaded photos of the first day of Ateneo Senior High School students cycling class. So what are your thoughts about this news?
Hindi ko na muna pagtatawanan ng Ateneo for a few months.
Grabe. Anong ginawa ng Ateneo sa'yo, Josh?
Alam
Malaki
mo
ba yung
kasi,
kasalanan ng Ateneo sa'yo?
hindi, kasi I mean, for a school na ang daming open space, but parang 60% nila parking lot, diba?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Pero that aside, gusto ko lang talaga malaman ano yung finals nila. Parang kailangan ba nila mag-bike? Parang ano, pataas at pababa ng katipunan.
Ako, I will be doing an interview with them for first bike ride. So, aalamin ko yan. Tatanungin ko sa teacher kung ano ang finals nila. Pero, yeah, nakakatuwa na malaman na merong class na to. Kasi, believe it or not, ang daming hindi marunong palang magbike na Pilipino. So, this is a good way for them to know how to ride the bike and hopefully get them educated on the road. Kung how it works, paano sila maging safe, etc., etc. Okay, Eli, what are your thoughts about this news?
I was waiting for something like this to pop up. It's about time. Like what Josh said with the previous article, it's about time talaga that this push comes from the academic sector. Actually, yan yung kulang, especially on private schools. That's what we thought before that would be the biggest hindrance for younger generations to actually bike to school, because we all know that most of these private schools, either in high school or in college, they are all being brought by private vehicles. Sorry, not all, but a good majority of them are being brought by private vehicles. And by having this as a PE or I guess elective, if I'm not mistaken,
Elective,
it will
yeah.
really like open their eyes to it. And when I was reading the article here, it's not just how to ride a bike, but then like the overall transport situation daw.
Mhm, yeah.
Tapos, the whole, maybe not the entire advocacy of it, but then good parts of it to inform these students that possibly maybe 3/4 of them would arrive with Ateneo by car, to show them that there is this different side of transport that they could opt to and that they should also fight for, that they're affected by. And just by introducing it to them in a very, very safe way, it's still a gateway, diba? So, very, very big props to the Ateneo PE department or whoever is in charge of that. Very, very good. And yun nga, I hope that these students will be hopefully converted into bike commuters later on. Might not be their entire 5 days commute, but 1 to 2 days instead of using your car. That's already
One less
that's
car on
already
the
a big
road.
deal. I just like how they're introducing it to that. I mean, to the crowd of like in mga private schools talaga. I mean, the one enticing thing that kept me and bike commuting rin is that, instead of having a car and like upgrading your car, etc., like that, other than it being a bit more expensive or a lot more expensive, just to have your own vehicle and how you could personalize it down to like the handlebar, the frame. I hope it promotes a different lifestyle and a different interest in these kids na parang, okay, then, okay, I want to strive to get this bike and then get these parts, and also in a way, not just helps the bike commuters or them themselves, but the bike community, especially the shops around in the area
Or in their neighborhood.
or in their neighborhood, diba? So it helps the overall community.
Ikaw, Josh, would you like to add more about?
Excited akong makaranas sila ng lumalaki yung neighborhood nila. Pag nakakotse ka kasi or even with yung normal na PUV, parang ang dami mo nami-miss na small spots sa neighborhood mo na malapit ka lang dito. Or at the same time, certain places, especially if you're in Katipunan, yung Esteban Nevada, pag linakad mo yun na dulo to dulo, ang haba ng feeling.
Totoo, ang haba talaga. As in, na-try ko na yun for the first time ko sa Ateneo. Sabi ko, "Ano ba 'yan, hindi pa ba tayo tapos? Parang pagod na yung pa ako."
Oo, di ba? Pero kung nakabike ka, ano yun, parang 4 minutes, wala ka pang
Yeah,
padyak.
correct. Tama. Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully magbago yung outlook nila.
Hopefully, this will inspire other schools to follow. Kasi maganda talaga yung program na 'to. Okay, last news to react to. Okay? From philstarlife.com. So, this was inspired by James Deakin's column suggesting the removal of bike lanes and giving it back to cars and other motorized vehicles or making it a dedicated motorcycle lane. Ang title ng article, "Do Bike Lanes Serve Their Purpose and Serve Them Well?" So, dito sa article, minention din yung viral comment ni Inka Magnaye about her comment dun sa post ni James Deakin. So, what are your thoughts about this article? Especially yung title pa lang very provoking na eh. "Do bike lanes serve their purpose and serve them well?" Okay, si Josh mukhang madaming gustong sabihin nito. Parang tumatawa na siya. Umpisa pa lang. Go, Josh.
Realistically, yung pintura, hindi talaga siya bike lane. Like, hindi siya protection. But
Aba.
at the same time, pag naranasan mo mag-bike sa labas ng Metro Manila na walang bike lane, parang bumalik ka lang na onti sa any part of Metro Manila na hindi gaano binabastos yung bike lane. Parang feeling mo, parang, shit, ginaslight ba ako? Parang, is paint actually protection?
Yes.
Naranasan ko to when I was biking from Alabang. Parang the entire way back to Central Metro Manila, ang sama na loob ko. Tapos paglapag ko ng Pasig, ano nangyayari? Ba't yung ginigit-git? Ba't ganito ba yung feeling na masarap yung buhay?
Yeah.
Kahit pintura lang siya.
Ganito ba yung feeling ng masarap yung buhay?
Oh, as in ganun yung feeling. Yung mga, parang shit, maganda yung pagpapatakbo ni Joy Belmonte sa QC. Okay ba talaga sa amin? So, they would serve their purpose if talagang pinapenalize yung mga nag-violate doon. Kasi gamit naman sila. And honestly, parang kung pipigyan mo yung mga ibang nag-bike count, in certain areas, mas madami pang dumadaan na bike kaysa kotse. And halos barely a bike lane pa yun. What more if safe siya para sa lahat na hindi mo kailangan maging matapang or malakas loob?
Tama. Ako naman, I've commented on this over Twitter. Parang sinasabi ko na kasi they were saying na pampaskip lang daw yung bike lane, ngayon nandiyan na yung mga kotse, parang hindi na talaga nila siniserve, wala nang nagbabike. It's just para sa akin, wala kayong nakikita kasi una, puwedeng nakalagpas na yung biker sa inyo. Pangalawa, hindi niyo nakikita kasi hindi naman sila yung priority niyo on the road. I remember when I was still an active car driver, hindi ko napapansin na ang dami palang nagba-bike commute. Naka-focus lang talaga ako sa dami ng sasakyan sa kalsada.
Oo.
Pangalawa, kaya siguro hindi nagba-bike commute yung mga tao, kasi nakaka-intimidate naman talaga na sobrang dami ng mga sasakyan. And when you look at the bigger picture, mas maganda na ipagba-bike commute mo yung mga tao more than ipagkokotse mo yung karamihan ng mga residente ng Metro Manila or people who are plying the roads of this mega city. Kasi nagawa naman natin yun during the pandemic na ang daming nagbabike, mas madaming nagbabike kaysa nagsasasakyan. So, parang nakakainis lang na gumawa ng article because of an opinion column saying that hindi na kailangan yung bike lanes, tatanggalin na 'to at ibalik na sa mga motorized vehicle. It's just like saying na, "Oh, balik na lang tayo sa dating chaos. Ay, balik na lang tayo sa, sa dating problema." Hindi ko alam kung bakit niya sinabi yun. Hindi ko alam kung bakit pino-promote pa rin yung car culture, napatunayan naman natin over the years na it's not really effective in, easing the congestion in Metro Manila. Okay, Eli, ikaw.
Well, I'm trying to like see it on how they were interpreting it and what assumptions that they were doing. I have a feeling that James Deacon was thinking on a point of view na okay, right now it's not the right design at all and it's giving us car drivers an inconvenience. So let's remove it and then they'll put in a better one or more well designed one, right after. But we all know that that's not the case.
That's not gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen. I mean, well, one, if they are gonna do it, how long is it going to take for them to do it? We have tons of studies, feasibility studies, plans, statements, but then what actually comes into reality, diba? So, parang you're taking away the one thing that we already have now and just hoping that it would come back better. But with the track record that our implementing agencies have, it doesn't seem like it's gonna happen that quickly
Mm-hmm.
as well.
Yeah.
So I rather have, what we have right now, and then they build on it. Show it is flawed, right? It is flawed right now in some areas, maybe not all, but in some areas. So you just have to build on what is working, just the same as NCAP, diba? I mean,
Totoo,
that's
yung
also it's
NCAP.
also another
That's
it's also
another,
another
yeah.
issue right now. The overall idea of it is good. We finally we will have an automated system that would lessen the corruption and keep vehicles or drivers in their place, disciplined through a system. It wasn't done well. There's no hiding from that. It wasn't done well, and there are things that it could improve on. But then, parang instead of removing it totally, parang they could have adjusted it in moderation so that it would hit their target. But at the same time, still keeping safety on the road. I'm sure all of us felt it, especially us cyclists na or bike commuters na during NCAP, mas matino yung mga drivers during that time. Like no one was in the
Oo.
bike lane.
That glorious period of NCAP.
Oh, sobrang sobrang glorious yung period na yun. I remember like going down Ortigas right before EDSA, before crossing to Pasig. As in, walang motor sa bike lane. Tapos once they took it out, the very next day, ayun, nandun yung motorcycles ulit sa bike lane. I mean, I don't wanna go on the motorcycles because obviously they're actually the most among every one of us, among
Yeah.
car drivers, cyclists. Like there are a lot. So yeah, maybe they should be given their own lane and take away another lane for private vehicles. At the end of the day, they do move a lot more people with us and them compared to uh, motorized vehicles. So instead of taking it out, just improve on it.
So these 4 articles, ito yung mga recent articles published about cycling. Ako personally, I hope more media outlets, the mainstream and also in social media, na maglabas sila ng mga storya about biking, about bike infrastructure, about policies, about transport. Kasi it makes us more visible. It makes yung media mileage na yun, it's very important for us cyclists kasi it makes our voices heard. Kayo, what are your thoughts about the media showcasing cycling?
I'm trying to see if it goes the same a theory as any media is good media, kahit bad or good. But then maybe on cycling, there needs to be a bit more good than bad. It would help a lot the other population, or especially those that drive cars on a daily basis, to hear the different stories and the different benefits that cyclists have on the road, or if we prioritize them. So yeah, any amount of media is good. They could be controversial, and that could help spark discussions, especially within families or within friend groups. Anything to get advocates and to get those who promote it to talk about it with their friends and family. I think that's a win. So if it helps push it, if the article allows or the media allows more conversations to happen and more voices to be heard, then I really hope there could be more. And with the first article with DOTR saying that they're gonna prioritize in the next 6 years, hopefully now there'll be a lot more articles on it the next few years.
Yes. Okay, how about you, Josh?
I guess my main thing about like media coverage of anything covering cycling is sana hindi na ganun ka-car-centric yung editorial slant. Kasi parang lagi na lang napatay ng kotse. Kasi hindi kung parang ang dami namang paraan para hindi ka makapatay. So at least bakit kailangan biktima lang, parang aksidente lang yun. When there are so many things that could have been done, especially on the side of the driver, na hindi mangyari yun. Parang wag magmaneho ng lasing, for one.
Tama.
All coverage is good coverage, even if just to draw to the fact na parang a car isn't just a means of transportation. It's also a lethal weapon. And people should be aware of it and the responsibilities that come with it. Ang lisensya isn't a right, it's a privilege. And with that comes a lot of responsibility.
Ako as someone who is in the media business, naniniwala din ako na reporters should also be, responsible, gets to the context, and at the same time, not be car-centric. Na tama ka nga naman, hindi naman aksidente ang isang car crash, di ba? Hindi naman aksidente yung hindi pag-follow sa traffic rules and regulations. So, yung mga ganon. And how about social media? What can you say about it? Lalo na tayong tatlo, very active tayo on Twitter. Ayan si Josh, di ba? Nag-viral yung Facebook post niya about BGC not being a walkable
no.
city, di ba? So, yung social media and now recently I'm exploring TikTok and nakita ko yung potential niya of reaching more people, even people who are not into transport, di ba? What are your thoughts about napupunta rin sa social media yung mga cycling news?
Well, I think just like any other industry nowadays, like social media is key. Whether that may be Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, they all have a different crowd, all different, as in different crowds from Facebook, iba yung crowd sa Facebook, sa crowd ng Twitter, ng Instagram, and ng TikTok. And I think that if we're able to use it in a way that would best benefit each type of social media app, you could get a very, very wide variety of people to listen or to just be exposed to this type of, lifestyle. But then on better ways on how we could improve our city or on ways that we can improve our city, which one of them nga is cycling. Yeah, social media is super key, like especially for the younger generation now. Because at the end of the day, it's their world that's going to be affected. Down the line, 40, 50 years, they're going to either reap the benefits of our choices now or they're going to deal with the consequences of our choices. Primarily, it's because of either politicians or those very wealthy people that have power. And we need to show the next generation that they are a part of it and that they will be directly affected by it. And with that, if they feel that way as well, they'll let their parents know, they'll let their older generation your choices affect our choices. And if you want us to survive, I don't want to sound very doomsday, but it is what it is. We need to do better. And the best way to engage, the next generation is through social media, aside from talking to them. But then, yeah, we have a bigger reach through social media.
How about you, Josh? Last thoughts about this?
Social media is weird in the sense that you can get a lot of information out, but you can't get any discourse in.
Yeah. Pwede rin ganun, yeah.
Thankfully nga, like nung nag-viral yung post ko na parang BGC is a car-centric hellhole cosplaying as a walkable city. There were a lot of people na advocates who had a lot more patience than me na kinakausap yung mga tao sa comments. Parang madaming ginagawang tama yung BGC, but at the same time, ang baba ng standards natin.
Yes, mga ganun.
So, it can be a good thing. And at the same time, I think as far as cycling content in the country, I wish there were more non-recreational aspects to it. Parang kahit na show me a grocery run, tapos kape, tapos parang, shit, laki na natipid ko sa buhay ko. Stuff like that. I think we need to see na parang biking isn't primarily a sport. It's a means of transport. And that's something we all need to get into. Kasi ang daming iniisip na porque bike, kailangan naka-like ka na, tapos aakit kayo ng sumulong. Parang, hindi Parang pwede naman mag-bike lang kayo sa kanto, tapos magkikita-kita lang kayo doon. And I think a lot more people need to get into that aspect of it for us to, enact any real change.
Correct, tama.
Social media will mainstream it a lot more. So we really need it.
We're really happy about the media mileage that cycling is getting right now, whether it's mainstream or social media. And I hope we get to see more. Eli and Josh, maraming salamat for this conversation. I really enjoyed. Gusto kong malaman ng mga tao kung ano talaga yung reactions ng actual bike commuters sa mga balitang to. And kung effective ba, kung masaya ba sila na binabalita yung biking and all. Again, Eli and Josh, maraming salamat for accepting my invitation to be in this episode.
Salamat din.
Thank you,
so
Lester.
much.
Yes. And to our listeners, maraming salamat for being with us in this episode. And sana magtambay ulit tayo sa susunod na episode ng Tambay Session.